Hey, welcome
Yay!
back, everybody. If you're tuning in right now, or if you're going to be tuning in later, welcome back to Empowered RN. And I am Claudia Garcia as we team up for our series, our YouTube series called Book More Clients. Last week was so good,
Yay!
Claudia. Last
Huh?
week was so good that we talked about book more clients and how was last week?
It was good. It was really good. I enjoyed our chat, and I hope everyone else did too. So I'm
Yes.
excited for today's chat. And every time we hang out, we we learn something new. So hey,
Yes, we do. We do learn something. So we each learn something for each other. So you have me, myself, Empowered RN, works with international nurses all over the world. And then we have Claudia Garcia, our LinkedIn and business strategist. Welcome once more.
yay!
So,
Thank you for having me. So I'm
yeah,
excited about our topic because
yes.
it is a juicy one.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it's very juicy because this week we're talking about DMs that don't feel weird, turning conversations into clients, right? So we're talking about the DMs, and we know the millennials normally talk about DMs and messaging. So that's the era that we're in right now. But we're specifically looking at DMs, getting clients, and also looking on the business side of it. So if you're a nurse watching this, this is for you. Even if you're not a nurse, you're interested to go into business or you're in business already, this is
Yeah.
something that you can actually learn from. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So our
Yes.
series is all about getting clients, and so we're staying on that topic and giving you some tips on how to do this. So as a entrepreneur, you have to be your best marketer in order to succeed, especially in the beginning if you don't have, a huge team, right? So if you
Yeah.
have a big team, then good for you because you get to hire all the help and you have all the support. But a lot of times people start off just themselves, they're solopreneurs, and they have to do all of the work themselves. And so being your best marketer is super important. And so today we're not talking about marketing per se, but we're also talking about sales, right? And
Yeah.
how you actually approach your ideal clients. And did you want to start with talking about like what platform? Did you want to be specific on a platform, or did you want to talk about all of them in general?
I think we could talk about all of them in general. I don't know if there's a preference. I think we speak about professional. We always tend to think LinkedIn with regards to that, which it is. So we could start with that.
Yeah, so for LinkedIn, when I first started on LinkedIn, I did everything through the DMs because I own a staffing agency, and staffing and recruitment, and so a lot of what we did was recruit on LinkedIn. So everything was in the DMs. I later on went to start selling in the DMs, and that's how I made most of my money through LinkedIn was in the DMs. So I know a little bit about what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
Where do you use the DMs, and if so, where are you pitching?
For DMs, definitely LinkedIn because that's where the professionals are. As I think we spoke with this earlier too, that's where the CEOs are, the decision makers, the persons that are going to actually say yes to you. Not to say that they're not on other platforms like Instagram and so on, which I think like are like the marketing centers for me, where you do marketing for the business. But in terms of getting in touch with the persons that you need to connect with in the various departments, that's where everything is, and that's where I started too with LinkedIn, doing research, reaching out to them, and structuring that message. But before we go into that, I like to talk about DMs, but in terms of what it actually is, because some persons
Sure.
may hear DMs and not know what DMs are. But
Yeah.
DM in this day and age is called direct messaging. And I did look up something online from dictionary.com, which says that a DM is like a private message that you send on social media. And then listed especially Twitter, but there are other different platforms that you can send these direct messages to. So you send a direct message to whomever you're reaching out to, in just to start either a conversation or to pitch an idea to them. But I want to lead into something else. Do you think that it is actually professional to start in the DMs first?
Well, I used to start in the DMs first. There was a time I think where I you could. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying you can't. It's there's the rule is, I mean, there isn't really like a rule. I mean, people will give you tips on what works best, but nowadays, because everyone is going into the DMs, is a little different than
Mhm.
just even a couple years ago, right? So
Yeah.
because you have more people in the DMs, it's a little bit harder to get a response. And essentially you're cold, if you're cold messaging, you're really you're up against more than if it was a warm message, right?
Yeah.
What I like about LinkedIn is that they can look at your profile to see if you're legit or not, right?
Yeah.
So on Instagram, if you send out a message, I mean, you really can't tell if that person is legit or not.
Yeah.
You just don't know with Instagram. But when
Mhm.
you're on LinkedIn, you can see where they used to work. You can see who they're connected with. You can even see as far as like what they're posting, their conversations and comments and things like that. So it's easy for you to vet that person as maybe an ideal client or somebody that you even want to talk, you would want to talk to, or vice versa. You would be able to vet the person that's messaging you
Mhm.
and say, oh, yeah, I'm going to respond to this person because, yes, they're in healthcare. Yes, I need their service. And yes, they're legit because they're connected to these people and they worked at this organization. So that's what I like about the LinkedIn DMs is that, you have a little bit more trust there
Yeah.
on the platform in general.
Yeah, and I like how you said that you're able to like vet these persons that if you're sending a message out to them. And that's why I realized that somebody said recently, like LinkedIn is literally like your digital resume because you see everything in one. So when you reach out to the person, you can do fact checking, you do vetting, all of that. And not to mention also that you can see their professional background to match
Hmm.
anything that they're doing or saying that it's aligned with saying. And also as you mentioned that if you're going to be reaching out to persons or clients online and they're vetting you, looking at your profiles and all of that, that is why it's important of your digital footprint to make sure that you're mindful of what you post, how you post, and make sure you have boundaries online, because you could be reaching out to a potential client and you post something online that doesn't align with you, and that may make them not want to work with you also.
Yeah, they are going to absolutely judge you by your LinkedIn profile. And this is why I, have LinkedIn workshops and do the whole LinkedIn audit, is because
Mhm.
it is really important. If you are reaching out to decision makers, if you are trying to get a job on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, if whatever it is that you're doing, maybe you're a speaker, you're a book author, whatever it is that you're doing, people are going to check out your profile to see if you're legit. And believe it or not, they do make decisions based on the
What
LinkedIn
they see.
profile.
Mhm.
Um, as a recruiter, when I was I don't recruit anymore. I have recruiters, but when we saw candidates get rejected all the time, and we knew it was their LinkedIn profile.
Mhm.
So if you have, let's just say you have two great candidates, both are equally qualified. You see one that has a very nice very nice LinkedIn, and then you
Mhm.
see one that looks really shady on LinkedIn, and you're just like, okay, we'll skip that guy, we'll skip that
Yeah.
gal, let's go with the other one that looks more professional. So yeah, I do think people are checking you out, so you have to have a professional LinkedIn profile when you're trying to chase opportunities.
Yeah. And welcome to those that are tuning in online. Welcome to our YouTube series, Book More Clients. And we're talking about DMs that don't feel weird and turning conversations into clients. And if you have questions for us, drop them in the comment section. We're free to talk and just to discuss with you guys. And I like how we mentioned that if you're looking for clients as entrepreneurs, that it's important to have your LinkedIn set up also. But what about those other platforms? Even though we said that with Instagram and all of those other platforms, it's difficult to do vetting on same. But do you think it is still important?
Yeah, I do think it's still important. So I think that, there's a reason why I have a private and the business account,
Mhm.
right? So, when it comes to family stuff, personal things, personal maybe opinions or things like that.
Mhm.
It's all in the personal bucket and it's sealed, right? It's
Yeah.
confidential, right, to those that know me. And then on the professional side, then I try my best to remain as professional as possible. Doesn't mean
Mhm.
you can't be playful. I feel like my LinkedIn is very professional. My Instagram business is a little playful. I don't really have a big strategy on Instagram. I'm just there
Mhm.
because it's fun. My strategy is all on LinkedIn, and on YouTube now, right?
Mhm.
So speaking of the platform, I think where you can gain the most trust is YouTube. I think
Yeah.
the long form, the long form video is definitely going to build more trust than a 7-second reel.
Right.
And so if somebody is able to watch you for 20, 30 minutes and you're, speaking on a subject that's important to them, they can
Mhm.
tell whether or not you're legit. So you
Yeah.
can't really fake it, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I think that the platforms that you should be on in regards to building trust in healthcare specifically is
Mhm.
LinkedIn and YouTube.
Yeah. And I think YouTube, I think, is leading right now in the number one platform in terms of social media, right? So everybody's seeing you, and you also can gain clients from that, as you said, in your long form content.
Mhm.
So you got to
Yeah.
be careful what you put out there too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
All right. So, what question? You had something to say? You could go ahead.
No. I know with you, you're on YouTube. So have you been able to take any people off the platform and then make them clients?
Uh, I think so far, yes, I did. I had persons reached out to me via email who were potential clients, and we did converse, which I still work with today. So they saw me. Whenever people reach out to me, I always like to ask, "Where did you find me?"
Yeah.
And they literally tell me whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on YouTube. So it does help. So something that I realized, I look at the persons who are reaching out to me, and I said, "Okay, you're watching my content." So it helps me to improve and make sure when I come on YouTube, I know what I'm here about, I know my why, and that I have nurses that I present information to globally. So anything that I'm doing, I make sure that the research or information that I find is credible and I have an understanding of it too. And also recently, somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn too, and that was mind blowing for me too. And she wanted some help with international nursing at a university. And I asked her how she found me. And she said that she just typed in international nursing and my name popped up. And I said, wow.
Yay.
So having that why and knowing what you're about and being specific, it can land you clients. And not only just clients, too, opportunities, persons who want to collaborate with you, even jobs. Somebody even reached out to me for a job. And when he told me that the title, I said, "You sure? Like I can do this?" Person was like, "Yes." And it's based on what you put out, what you continue to speak on and show your level of expertise. And you don't have to be like have the bag of titles that people talk about,
Yeah.
just show that you have an understanding and an expertise in the area that you're speaking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing it right. So you built a foundation of trust through your content and then people come to you.
Right.
It works pretty well when you do it
Mhm.
consistently. And so in regards to the DMs and us doing the outreach, it works the same. You have to have that. I think now you have to have that content out there so that they can go ahead and take a look and then see that you are qualified for the job or to be their coach or to be their business strategist, whatever it is that you're teaching them. They're able to tell by checking out what you've put online. So great job. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you. So in anything that you're doing, you're basically selling yourself, based on what you put out on each platform.
Yeah.
And one thing I like to ask about though, sometimes persons may reach out to you or you reach out to potential clients, what can you say? Or is there something that as what can you say and what you should not say when you're reaching out to persons for the first time to work with them?
Well, there's you're gonna get a lot of mixed answers with that, But I would say
Mm-hmm.
number one, when you first reach out to them, don't ask for anything. The first
Mm-hmm.
conversation should just be a simple hello. If they just connected with me, I'll thank them for connecting with me, and I'll say something as simple as, "I look forward to following along your," or "I look forward to following your content or
Mm-hmm.
supporting your content." If they have something that's relevant to me that day, I might say, "I loved your post today. I look forward to reading more, learning more about you." But very simple. It just a couple sentences, no long. I have sent out the long messages and they just don't get a response.
You
I
have.
have sent out the cold DMs. And yes, I've gotten a response on cold DMs, but I've had to send a lot of DMs out
Mm-hmm.
to get that one response. And so, but yeah, using just back to the do's and don'ts, just don't ask for anything on that first DM. Don't be generic, like, hey, we have the same connections. And I'm just like, I hate that one because I'm like, I have 12,000 connections. Like, I mean, 12,000 followers. I mean, like, we may have some people in common, right? Does not mean I'm your ideal client. So, just that sort of stuff, just leave it out. Don't ask
Yeah.
ChatGPT to write your DMs for you because you're going to sound like everyone.
Everybody has.
So if you can personalize it, if you can, just a simple hello and thank you for following me or
Mm-hmm.
thank you for connecting. If you're local to them, I love saying something about like the local area. Like, hey, I live, I'm right down the street from you. I'm in this area. I've been here for
Yeah.
a few years. I love it. How long have you been in town? That's a great way to start a conversation. It's just, you're not asking for something, you're not scaring people away. In regards to cold DMs, do they still work? I mean, sure. I mean, you could send a cold DM to somebody and it land in the right hands at the right time. It's happened to me a lot of times. But you had to send so
Mhm.
many.
How do you?
What?
Wait. Could you explain what is
Oh,
cold
yeah.
DMs for persons who are listening
So a
and may not
warm message
understand?
might be
Mm-hmm.
somebody that you've already engaged with their content. They already see you following them. You've already engaged in regards to like you commented on their post, they acknowledged you. They've seen you, they've seen your
Mm-hmm.
name. You've been in the same spaces on LinkedIn for a little bit. And then you approach them maybe after they've commented on a post of yours, or so then that might be a warm message. Also, if they connected with you or followed you, it's warm. If they have not done anything, it's your first time landing on their profile, you've never connected, you've never followed, you've never engaged, you haven't done anything, and then you send them a message, that's a cold message. You're just like straight
Yeah.
off the streets jumping in their DMs, right? Right, that is not a
Mm-hmm.
warm message. So that's the difference between cold and warm.
Okay. And you said sometime it does work though when you actually send
The
out
cold
one.
messages? Yeah. So I
Yeah.
have I actually during the pandemic, I obviously was nursing. I did travel nursing and I got a lot of
Mm-hmm.
contracts through LinkedIn. They were semi cold. And what I mean by semi cold is that my approach was, hey, I would connect with somebody in the organization that could refer me to the right person. So I wouldn't actually go straight to the
Oh.
decision maker. I'd go to the team members. And then once
Mm-hmm.
they said, yeah, you should talk to Tom, then I would say,
Mm-hmm.
Susie referred me to you. And so that's kind of
Oh.
like was one of my secrets to getting in, and it works.
Yeah.
But I had done straight cold messages. I landed a contract with a hospital, made 34,000 in like 30 days, placing a candidate. And that was a total cold message. I sent a message to the director. I said, hey, you have a ton of urgent needs. Can I go ahead and fill one for you? And he was like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not giving any more contract. Like he pretty much said, no, I'm not giving you a contract.
Mm-hmm.
But if you fill a role for me, I'll give you a contract. So I said, sure.
Oh.
I filled the role and I got the contract. So, yeah. So that was a cold DM. So so it's hard for me to say like, no, don't do cold DMs. Also, if you talk to a lot of the if you know about like the influencers, like the, let's just say like the top 10 on LinkedIn, they have massive teams sending
Mhm.
out DMs for everything. Like if you like their post, you're getting DM. If you shut up on the live, you're
Yeah.
getting a DM. If you right,
Yeah.
if you even if you even scrolled past their profiles, they somehow know you did, and you're getting a
Yeah.
DM. Right? So they send out hundreds of messages daily, and that's why they're at the top. So yes, direct
Mhm.
messages work, and it's all about approach. Um, and so yeah, cold or warm. I think I prefer warm. I actually now prefer inbound. So I like them to DM me.
Mhm.
And how I've been able to kind of flip that is just by having more content out there. So the more content I put out, the more
Right.
likely that people are going to see it and say, "Hey, I need your help." And I get that all the time. I've been watching you
Yeah.
for a while and I like your content. I'd love your help. Can you help me with this? And yeah, so I get those a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it actually works too. So those DMs actually work. And I like how you talk about inbound, sending out as many as possible, and that works too. So in this day and age, in terms of social media, it's actually helping us to leverage in terms of business. And I think some people may say that those businesses are always thriving, those persons on different platforms are always doing well, but they have a method to it. So we're talking about DMs and
Mhm.
reaching out to persons, and in the event of starting a business too, it's always good to have yourself or your business out there, posting content, what you're about, so people can see you. We never know where that opportunity will actually
Yeah.
come from. I know having your purpose on your and your why with
Yeah.
regards to that. So in this day and age, do you think that DMs are working way better than back then when you had to do call-ins or showing up face to face? Which one do you think works better right now? Have you seen in your business right now working better
Yeah,
for
that's a
you?
great question. I mean, I think face to face and calling are still legit and still work. And face to face, I
Mhm.
think will always be everything. So meeting somebody in person. In regards to the DMs versus calling, most great marketers are doing both simultaneously. So, for
Yeah.
example, yesterday I got a call. It said Austin, so I thought it's local to me. I'm in Austin, Texas, and I thought, oh, is it my doctor's office? Like, I don't know. I didn't know who it was, so I just picked it up. And it was a gentleman selling an AI software. And he said, "Hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. I saw you post right now, blah, blah, blah." So that started the conversation. And then he's like, "Do you have a couple minutes?
Right.
And won't take too much time, the basics." And then I spoke to him, and
Mhm.
then we connected on LinkedIn, and he sent me a message on LinkedIn. And so there was two things that happened there, right? So it was a cold call, but he made it
Mhm.
sound like we were warmed up because I just saw you post on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, right? I'm just like, "Oh, you did? You follow
Mhm.
me?" Right? So it's like, it's so silly, but yeah. So the way that he approached me was that like as though we were old friends or something. And yeah. Yeah. So both
Yeah.
work.
So
So your
DMs
question
actually
was
work and
between the three of us.
yeah.
Face to face will always work. Okay. So if you know how to build trust and you know how to
Mhm.
sell in person, then it'll always work. Number
Mhm.
two, the
Yeah.
DMs, yeah, they just like I explained, hot, cold, warm, in between, everything in between. It works. And um, cold calling, I think, is the hardest thing now because people don't pick up their phones. And
Yeah.
so
But they're bombarded with a lot too
yeah,
from
and
school,
everyone's
so
so
you can't
busy, and
blame.
then there's this whole, like, lack of trust, like, "Who's calling me now?" It's kinda like not answering your
Mhm.
front door anymore, you know? And so
Yeah.
yeah, so the calling is harder, but if you can get through, then it helps with, being able to do both at the same time.
Yeah. And I like what you mentioned earlier when you said that, you may follow somebody or meet somebody, but they'll put you into the room with the person that you need to get in touch with. And I can make reference to you. Remember, we did the last, I think, live or some videos. We have been
Uh-huh.
partnering for a couple times now. I think a couple persons reached out to me and DMs, and they said that I saw you on Claudia's page. So they just reached out from that, and I think that's how those interested in going to entrepreneurs, or if you're just a regular professional,
Yeah.
even just following persons who are doing the same thing like you, it's going to feed you into other persons, and they are going to see what you're doing too, and that helps too, and that helps you to get more clients, more persons seeing you, and also make sure you're still putting out that
Yeah.
content. Do you think that I think content is still necessary, but what if you're a person just starting in business and you don't really have much content? What strategy could they use?
Yeah, so I actually think I just talked about this in regards to if you're new on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, you really should start with connection and just connecting with people,
Mhm.
and building a little bit of a following, and it should be done daily because LinkedIn is not like Instagram. You're not going to grow overnight. It's definitely not like TikTok where you grow really fast. So LinkedIn is sort of a little bit slower unless you go viral or something like that. But for the most part, you need to start connecting with people. You just need to start connecting with
Yeah.
your, colleagues, and then their, people they might know, and jump into conversations on different posts that are relevant to what you're doing, and start growing a following. So that's number one. I did that way before I ever sold anything on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So again, it's sort of like the groundwork, right? So fix your profile, complete it 100%, make sure that you look legit, and then start connecting with
Yeah.
people in your industry. Don't connect with people that are
Mhm.
outside your industry or completely irrelevant to what you're trying to do on LinkedIn, because it'll mess up your algorithm. So things like that. I mean, you can't skip those two, right? So the foundations, do the groundwork first, and then you can think about selling and all of that. Mhm.
Yeah. I like what you said. Fix your profile, make sure you're legit, in what you're doing, and just make sure that you have a LinkedIn account.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
very important in
yeah.
this day and age. A colleague of mine, a professional, I don't know if she's listening right now, and she said to me the other day that I don't have a LinkedIn account. And I said, What?
Well, she just
I
like
said,
lost
That
her
is it.
ability to get recruited into a better job, right? Because the recruiters are on LinkedIn, they're
Yeah.
looking for you. So, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Everybody is on LinkedIn. And as I said before, it is your digital resume. Even if you're not looking for clients, clients will reach out to you on LinkedIn. Even if you're not looking for a job, people will just reach out to you. As you said, the recruiters are there
yeah,
also. So that's your, I said this is something that we wanted to talk about. So that is it TikTok or LinkedIn that is the gold mine right now? And for me, I always tell a person that it's literally
yeah.
LinkedIn. I know TikTok can be fast and it's good for sales, but longevity wise, that's in my opinion with regards to LinkedIn. What do you have to say with
I
regards to
am not
that?
on TikTok, so I can't even give an opinion on TikTok. I got on a TikTok during the pandemic. My husband and I did one of
Mhm.
those like viral dances, and we were done.
Mhm.
We turned it off. It was like I am not a TikTok girl. I've never been. I know it works for a lot of people. I'm sure it's a great tool,
Yeah.
but I chose one platform. I tried
Hmm.
Instagram, and you have to live on Instagram to stay relevant because you're buried.
Hmm.
You're buried in seconds, right? LinkedIn, your content's
Yeah.
going to live a little bit longer, and that's because only like
Hmm.
1% of the users post. So your stuff just lasts longer,
Right.
right? So I think it's 1% or 3%. Don't quote me on that, but it's very, very low, the users in regards to
Yeah.
who's posting. So you just have a better chance of your stuff being seen for a long time. And then same with YouTube. I
Mhm.
chose YouTube because again, your videos can be found for years. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
but Instagram, you're buried in seconds, right? So that's why people
Yeah.
post 5, 7 times a day. I ain't got that kind of
Yeah.
time.
Me either. Me either. But I can definitely say I'm on TikTok, and it's mainly because I deal with
Mhm.
nurses, And there are
Yeah.
many of them are all on TikTok too. In their time off, they're on TikTok, and you have those that are doing content creation. So when I make one post, it really does well on TikTok because that's where the nurses are, and they're also on YouTube too, and it garners a lot. So I think it goes back to what your business is focused on and where your
Yeah.
target group is. If you know that age group that you're
Mhm.
working with, so I know my age group that I'm working with, but I have to spread out also on LinkedIn. And I do have some nurses that are there also.
Yeah. I like LinkedIn for the B2B sales. So if
Mhm,
you're actually selling to corporations, if
mhm,
you're doing anything that has to do with having to speak to a decision maker in a large corporation or
mhm.
healthcare system, or a CEO or a founder, then you definitely want to do that on LinkedIn. But yeah, I agree with you. I think there when we were doing travel nursing,
Mhm.
we were on Facebook and all the travel nurse groups, because that's where the nurses were hanging out
Yeah,
looking for jobs. So you got
yeah.
to go where your tribe is and where your ideal client is hanging out.
Yeah, that's true. And for those listening in, you can drop your questions. I didn't see any questions, so I guess you're doing very great right now, and everybody's understanding, and no questions so far. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. But any final words, Claudia, before we wrap up? We were talking about turning DMs into clients. So any final words for persons out there already in business, probably struggling a bit and wants more clients, wants to be seen? Final words for them.
Yeah, I think so. If you're a solopreneur and you have a product right now that you would like to offer or sell, and you're not getting any new clients, then I definitely think you need to be posting and showing up on your ideal platforms. I would say LinkedIn if you're in healthcare, specifically. Also, if you're trying to reach decision makers, but so show up on LinkedIn, post daily if possible. If not, post 3 days a week on the same day, same time. If you are able to send out a minimum of 10 to 15 messages a day to ideal prospects, connect with 10 to 20 a day. And it just depends on where you're at, because LinkedIn's kind of weird, right? So it depends on if you have a paid account or how many
Mhm.
followers you have and all that. And then that determines how many connections you can have a day.
Yeah.
So but yeah, do the work. So I would say, like, spend at least an hour to 2 hours
Mhm.
marketing your business every single day.
Yeah. And especially for solopreneurs, you can do get burnt out, trying to do everything by
Mhm.
yourself. And sometimes you want to get the business up, but at the same time, funding may be on the low side. But if you want it, you just have to push until, I think a keyword is automation too. Just like you said, those influencers, those are top. Once you scroll past, you see DMs coming out. So, have a
Mhm.
strategy and have automation and know your why. I
Yeah.
think one thing that is good too, especially if you have yourself outstretched on various platforms, if somebody sees you on one platform, they should know exactly what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
if they are on LinkedIn, if they go to YouTube, if they go to TikTok, Instagram, they should know exactly what you're talking about. And I think
Yeah.
that helps too. And knowing your audience, knowing where your decision makers are, and in crafting that content, make sure. I think that's something else that we could talk about too. That content may be different for very. I think you made mention of that too. That content is going to be different for LinkedIn, going to be different for Instagram, and different for TikTok. And you just have to know the algorithm and how it
Yeah.
works to put that content out.
Yeah. And I think you just have to be consistent. So if
Yeah.
you're not going to be consistent on all the platforms, I would
Mhm.
just pick one or two and
Mhm.
stick to those, so that makes you look more legit, that you're consistent, than if you
Yeah.
show up once a month and post a random post, right? No, you're not going to make any sales that way if you're
Yeah.
using social media as your marketing tool. So just to wrap up, I just want to go through just a few things. So, if a potential client reaches out to you in a DM, so you want to definitely respond pretty quickly. So, as quick as
Yeah.
you can. So
Very cool. Yeah.
have your notifications on, because the a delayed response could easily mean that they go to somebody else. They go to the next person. Acknowledge them when they, send you a message. Acknowledge also what I like to do is once they send me a message, I go on to their profile and I like their stuff and endorse them. I show them that I'm supporting them. Like
Yeah.
it's a thank you. They could have like very little followers, they could have 0 likes on their post. I will like it, comment and give them that like push. So that support is important.
Yeah.
Also, you can ask some clarifying and qualifying questions, right? So if they want to work with you, doesn't mean that they are a good fit. So you just want to ask them some basic questions to know whether or not you should take them to like the next step, which might be a phone call with you, where you hopefully then close them as a client, if you're a coach or a consultant, or even a service-based business. Yeah. So those are kind of the tips for inbound DMs.
Yeah. I like what you said too. Support. If they reach out, like their content, comment,
Mhm.
very supportive, and I like that. We got a comment from Carrie Digital. She said she just joined, but I will definitely rewatch. Please do and reach out if I have questions. I'll definitely want to be more intentional about LinkedIn. Yes,
Yeah.
please do.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it. Do it.
Right. And then you can find Claudia also on LinkedIn and Instagram also, and also on YouTube. So she's streaming right now with myself on both our YouTube channels. And if you want to reach out, you can find us there. And myself, that is on YouTube and LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. So next week, we have a next live that is coming up, and we live stream every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. You can just look at your time clocks, make sure that they're in tune. So next week we have another live coming up with book more clients, and our topic will be advertised. So we'll see you guys next week. Any final words?
Yeah.
I think we did final words already. Was that
Turn
engaging?
on your notifications so you don't miss any of our lives where
Yeah.
we, come and share um, just business and marketing advice. And
Yeah.
so we love hanging out with you guys. Thank you so much. Please leave a comment, share this live
Live.
with a friend that might need some help. And yeah, and reach out to either one of us. You can DM us, cold or warm. We don't
Yes.
mind. All
Yes.
right.
So next week the topic is make them stay. How to wow your clients so they renew. Very
All
important.
right.
Yes.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
So
thank you
thank you.
guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you for
hanging out.
everyone. Bye.
Bye, Ava. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.